Thanks for joining me for this live stream today. We're going to be talking about ways to stand out as an event planner in 2026. I'm sure you know that times are changing fast. There's lots of companies that are changing, and perhaps you, like me, are wondering what is going to be important in as you go into 2026. So today, I've prepared 10 ways that you can stand out as an event planner in 2026 so that you're ready and that you are able to position yourself pretty much in front of the wave instead of being tumbled down by it or after it or responding afterwards. So before I get started, let me share who I am. My name is Naomi Tucker. I am an event professional with over 30 years of experience in hospitality and the event industries, and I enjoy supporting event planners and event professionals maintaining their work life harmony, maintaining the harmony in their lives so that they can actually do what they love, which is event planning, but then also be able to enjoy their lives as well. That takes a pretty intricate balance that you would have to do. Not to say that it's 50-50 of each, but it definitely is takes a little bit of work. So I help them by coaching in areas of career, leadership, and burnout prevention and productivity. So I'm seeing a lot out there in reference to how the world is changing and how we are in a position where we need to figure out how we are continuing to move forward. And there's been lots of many industry publications that have been, uh, I guess, put out about this to help equip the event professionals for what's coming and pretty much looking into the future. And those are fabulous publications. One that I would encourage you to look at, and I'll make sure to link in the comments, is not the comments, but maybe the description. I'll link it in the description. Is the Future of Landscape Study by Events Industry Council. They did a really great study white paper that really showcases all different areas of impact for the future for the event industry. So it's a really great study. I would encourage you to go ahead and take a look at it, read through it, and see how that can actually apply to your work. One of the things that they mention in this study is that I guess organizations that are, I guess, looking at their future, are really going to be outperforming uh, others by 33% in profitability. So that's great. That means that if we're looking towards the future and not necessarily having our heads down all of the time, we can actually start to work towards that future and therefore increase our profitability. And there are so many other things, right? They also say that it's 200% higher growth if you're looking towards the future, if you're preparing yourself towards the future. So I would just say, friends, the future is now. Things are happening now, and they're happening happening faster than ever. You need to be prepared for it. And that hopefully is what this live stream will do, is to help you be more prepared. So if you're here and if you're joining me, go ahead and put in the chat or put a comment. Let me know that you're here. Let me know where you're coming from. And also, how do you want to stand out as an event planner in 2026? Share that with me below. I'd love to hear that. And we will definitely get started as we go. I am trying to get used to coming on Thursdays live, and it's been great. This time frame works really well for me. So if it works well for you, definitely come and join me for, let's say, just like a casual a casual conversation. I would love for this to continue to be interactive, for you to make some type of comments and talk to me. That would be awesome. Awesome. So I was just checking to make sure that everything was okay on my end with you all. But definitely chime in, say hello, and we're going to get started. So, again, talking about having a long term mindset, looking at the future, this can be very helpful in so many ways because how businesses right now are changing, they're adapting. There's so much that's on the horizon. There's so much that technology is bringing to our awareness and allowing us to make that impact in our work and impact in our businesses and also impact in our lives. So finding ways that we can think long term in our role is really going to help us play the long game. So like I said, I had prepared about like 10 areas of focus for you as you're moving into 2026. And hopefully these areas are going to be somewhat familiar to you as you are going through them with me, but we can bring in a little bit more context on how they will be increasingly important. So the first one, and I kind of mentioned it already, is really technology. AI, the automation, fluency, really adapting AI to what you currently do in your business. Yeah, it's going to be important as an event professional and as a business that obviously is in the event industry to learn how to use AI in order to streamline that busy work that we do on a daily basis. Now, for me, I do look at things a lot through the lens of making your life easier, making things a little bit more simpler, eliminating some of that clunkiness that you're getting all of the time in the planning process. And a lot of that clunkiness is how different technologies are, right? You're using technology standalone. You might be using 6 to 10. I believe that everybody is probably using 6 to 10 platforms in order to help them do their jobs. And at some point, it gets to be a little bit chaotic. And learning all of the different tools. And let's say you have to change a tool. Let's say a tool comes out with an update. There's so much that you have to really worry about. So making sure that we find ways to use AI in order to streamline the busy work that we do is going to be very helpful. However, it's also keeping that human element in there as well is what's going to make us shine. Because most of us may be thinking, well, is AI going to take over what we do? How much do we give to AI? Those are all valid questions. I think the more important thing is how can I bring my uniqueness to what I do? And so when you think about that, then that's something that's going to help you look at that long-term focus and then make sure that all of your steps are going to be filtered through the lens of how do I bring myself to this, my unique mark to this event, but then also utilize AI in order to help me to streamline these things. That's going to help make you shine. It can be complex, but it can be ever so simple. As far as us, humanity, we need to just be at the helm of thinking for ourselves, not necessarily having AI think for us. So if we have ideas, allow AI to maybe supplement and support the plans that we have when it comes to that ideation, not necessarily always going to the AI and saying, hey, can you help me think of this? Maybe us do a little bit of thinking, coming up with some ideas first, and then putting it in those models like a ChatGPT, Claude, and asking for it to really mold and shape it into something more that you would like it to be. So those are just ways that if you're not necessarily, those are some ways that you can do this. If you're not into AI right now, I would just say maybe open up a ChatGPT account, maybe go ahead and open up Claude. I tend to like Claude a lot. They have different ways of helping. So get to know what those ways are and come up with your tech stack maybe of these models to be able to help streamline your work. You can use these types of technologies for so many things. And I know there's been a lot of amazing like event professionals that have been out there talking about AI, talking about how this is actually going to tangibly work. But you can build run of show reports or just run of shows with it. You can draft your emails with it, just basically give it some context, say what you want to do, and have it spit out an email for you if you would need. You can also help it with creating some supplier comparison charts, venue comparison charts, also repurposing content for your event. If you have to put out reminders or put out information for your event, you can utilize these models for that as well. But this way we can use it for some of the clunkiness and the complexity of our work, but then help us to supplement and support the plans that we would like to create and allow us to be a little bit more creative. And that's what we want. We want to be more human centered. We want to be there for the events that we are there for, and we want to bring that creativity from us, that unique stamp, that unique mark, to this whole thing. So I hope that really helps. That's definitely a big area of impact right now. Many of these models are changing, by the month and even by the day. There's so many different updates that are happening, and it's really important to understand what those are and see how you can actually leverage it for yourself. Because what happens if you don't, you end up just resorting to what you have done, and that just leaves you in a space of where you're doing a lot of heavy administrative work, and you're not able to then show up in a more authentic, creative way because you're burdened down by a lot of these administrative tasks. So again, authenticity is going to take you some time, but when you add in these models, when you also add in some of the automation, it helps you give back your time, helps you give back your energy, and allows you to be more creative and spark more joy in your life. So I can keep going on, and I love to have conversations about AI. How are you currently using AI in your current work? Are you using it? Are you just using it for ideation, or are you doing more with it? Are you using it to reconcile duplicates in your rooming list? Are you using it to propose certain solutions to complex matter? Are you using it to help gain insights from data so that you can then bring a more creative solution to the table when you're working with many of your clients? Tell me how you're using it. I would love for you to do it. And if you're not, I would just say, as you move into 2026, really just pick one of your workflows that you have that may seem a little clunky, that deep down can benefit from you using AI. I'm not asking you to go ahead and apply this to your whole A to Z model, but just pick one area of focus that you can get a quick win, or it can significantly impact, and just start there. Like I said, I tend to use Claude. I love Claude for writing, and then also Gemini is really great for or not Gemini, sorry, but ChatGPT for ideation is really good at ideating with you. Claude is just a much better writer when it comes to certain things. And then also you can use tools, automation, like connector tools like make.com or Lindy. Again, you all have probably corporations that you're working with, so you might have your own tech stack that some of your IT people are having you work with. But definitely use what you have to the best of your ability, or if you want to bring in some additional tools to help support and see how you can support your workflow, those things would be really great. So yeah, let me know what you think about that. Put it in the chat, and we will continue to go on. Oh my goodness, I went for a lot on AI. I'm looking at the time. So we are arriving to number 2. So number 2, I have data-driven ROI and analytics. So how you can stand out as an event planner in 2026 is using data and analytics. And what we want to do is use data to show how your event move the business forward, right? Showing that ROI. And as we know, there are different levels of return on investment that we can measure, but it's just starting with the survey, starting with the data that we currently have, and then allowing AI to really extract some of those insights from that so that we can further that business and further progress in the business and further move things forward. We can get information out about customer satisfaction, those type of things, or attendee satisfaction at our events, or maybe how people felt about a particular speaker, or perhaps we have lots of comments that we have given in our events. But you can use those and upload those into one of these learning models. And what you can do is have it analyze and see what some of the common patterns are. And you can get that in literally seconds. And from there, you can also have it determine what those themes are that you can possibly focus on, let's say your next event, and possibly how you can focus on that. There's so many ways that you can I guess slice and dice through your data, more so now than in the past, because you will be using some of these models. So again, when I'm talking about data analytics and talking about finding your ROI, it's all about using the data that you currently have in order to come up with some of those creative ideas, and then leveraging technology to do that. Again, in 2026, planners who stand out are going to be planners who are going to think like strategists, because pretty soon you might find that much of these chat models are going to be able to do a lot of that granular, more tedious work that we do. So how do we position ourselves where we have value? Well, it's all about strategy. And that strategy comes a lot from experience and what you have done as an event professional, but it also comes from how you're leveraging some of the tools that you have in order to think differently. And so that's going to help build trust with yourself, with your clients, with those that you're doing events for, with your business. And it lets everyone see you as an essential component of this whole thing, not just optional. Okay. So I would just say, when we're talking about data, start small. Maybe, we all have thoughts of the sky's the limit, that we all want to just like, oh my gosh, I have this model, I'm going to have it do so many things for me on this data analysis. Just pick two or three that you want to really focus on. Start small. Baby steps are going to really help you. And then use the tech platform that you're using. Use those analytics. Don't reinvent the wheel. Just take from there, and then start really whittling it down and finding the story of whatever your data is telling you. Let your data tell the story, tell you what happened, tell you what it means, and then where you should go from here. So I put that as something separate than, let's say, general AI, because it's important for us to really now use the data. Before, it used to be like, we're getting so much data, we had to, everyone was telling us, get the data, track the data. So great, now we're tracking the data. What do we do now? Well, now we have to analyze the data. And before, it was a little bit of a clunky process to get the chart and figure it out, have meetings about, what it all means, right? But now we have a technology that can be able to help us and draw themes and draw key points out of that data, so that we can then move forward in a quicker way. So it definitely is something that's separate and very important, and it's going to help you stand apart from everyone else as we move forward into 2026. Okay, so tell me, what do you think about data? Do you use data currently in order to analyze your events, or in order for you to figure out where to move to next? Let me know. I would like to know in the comments. All right, so next, our third thing, we're moving down our list. We're getting there. Our third thing that I have for you to stand out in 2026 is really to embrace hyper personalization. So it's designing experience where the people that attend, your attendees, they feel like every single experience was designed for them, not just for the masses. Like every interaction that they make, there's a personalization to it, that they feel like that you had them in mind when creating the event. And this can go all the way from the invitation, all the way to the closing survey, all the way to when they get home. You can create this experience of hyper personalization, and it's so great, and people are craving it. And here's the thing. People aren't necessarily looking for a generic experience anymore. They want something that is authentic, and personalization is going to make your attendees feel more seen. So any way that you can personalize the experience is really going to be helpful. And if you can really kind of tie that all together in a nice, seamless way, people are going to rave about your event. Again, let tech do the heavy lifting sometimes on some of these areas. And then also maybe ask better event like questions prior to the event. Maybe have a pre-event survey. Maybe you're surveying your attendees at your last event. Find out the areas in which it really would matter to them in order to experience this personalization. And what experiences work awesome is if you have them be able to choose their own adventure, build their own agenda, so to speak. Most of this can possibly happen on a larger program. It can be easier that way because you have so many things going on, so many opportunities for them to design their experience. But what if we did that on a smaller program? You can absolutely do that, and it works really well, and people really appreciate being able to choose their experience versus the experience being chosen for them. So that is hyper personalization, and is an area that if you push towards that in 2026, it will definitely make your event stand out from any others. The next one goes along with that, but it's number four. Our fourth way to stand out in 2026 is develop immersive experiences in design. And including, non-traditional venues. So really building environments that are going to spark emotion, that are going to utilize the lighting, the sound, have spatial storytelling, and have unexpected locations within, let's say, your event. That is going to surprise, that's going to delight your attendees, but it's also going to really help them have more curiosity about your event. Um, it's so cool when you are able to go to an event and it's in a place that you've never experienced before. It's not necessarily a ballroom, or let's say it is a ballroom, but it's different. There's something different about it. The whole place is transformed to create a different immersive experience. That's what I'm talking about. Really embracing that idea of immersing your attendee into just an experience from the moment that they get off of the plane to the point where they get back home. That makes them continue to think about your event over and over and over. So it can be non-traditional venues work really well for this because of the fact that they are unique. So using art museums, unique restaurants, unique spaces outside, or maybe like an art studio, uh, things like that are going to be very great. But of course, if you have a lot of people, it could be tough in order to do that. So you might have to either break the group up, or you might have to find a way to make a big impact with many people. But again, finding the ways to do that with the number of people is where your creative energy can go into, and you can ideate that through technology, and you can leverage other resources in order to find ways in order to create that experience. Again, when you're thinking about how do I create an immersive experience for my event, you're thinking, you have a goal in mind, and you're thinking more long term. You have a goal, you're being intentional in the planning by having that idea first instead of having it try to come together at the last minute. So if you have that in your thought process before, you're able to then work towards that end. So again, in this world, we kind of have a lot of copy paste events that go on. Your creativity is going to be your competitive edge as we move forward. So think immersion, think memorability, think that you want to make your event memorable. So how do you do this? How do you do this in a practical way? Maybe just like I said, we're going to start with baby steps, right? So let's start with maybe a sensory upgrade. Find an event that you can upgrade the experience somehow in a sensory way. Maybe maybe adding something that they can touch, that they can smell, things like that to the event. I love it when events have like a wellness room where where they can kind of experience and relax at the event, or maybe, hey, we're going to get the people to kind of help give you a chair massage while you're at the event. Just some type of different upgrade. Some events have like a signature scent. You're walking into the event and there's a scent that's a signature scent. Hotels have that. Why not events? So find different, like one thing in order to focus on, and then as you have that one thing, you'll continue to add on as you go through different events and you go through different events. Also explore venues like a lot of people are loving, like rooftops, conservatories, different industrial spaces. Those type of spaces really appeal to our curiosity and just allow us to feel a little bit more free. It actually makes you feel like you're discovering something new. You're in a new place. You have to travel to these events all the time, but you get to go to something definitely interesting and has much appeal. And then also partner with your creative partner with some of your creative professionals, like your event producers. They have so many ideas. They've done events in so many places. Just simply ask them to come into the creative process with you. That also is very helpful with creating that immersion experience as well. So tell me, have you done this? And if so, hey, let us know. Let us know what experience you've done for your guests. We'd love to learn from everybody here. So if you have something that you wanted to share in the comments, go ahead and do so. And while you're at it, since I'm at number 5, if you're here and you're new to me, welcome. If you're here in the future, it's so glad to have you here. And I would just say, go ahead and like this video if you could. Give me a thumbs up and go ahead and subscribe. Subscribe. I would love to see you a little bit more on these live streams. All right, so we are at number 5. So this is the 5th way that we can stand out in 2026 as an event professional. And it's focusing on sustainability and purpose. We've been seeing this a lot, especially if you're in the event industry. You've seen a lot of emails that people are just focusing on sustainability and being a little bit more purposeful now. I think that came out of the pandemic. People want to be purposeful about the events that they plan. We've seen so much during that time that we want to make sure that we make events matter, that we are being very purposeful, that we're being very responsible with the events that we have responsibility for. So that means we want to be more, I guess, purposeful on the environment, on the community, and the people attending. So finding those ways to incorporate, the environment, taking care of the environment when you're going into a location that you haven't been before. How do you take care of the environment? How are you sustainable at your event? You're shipping many things to the event. You maybe have gifts. You maybe have paper. How can you go paperless, if anything? The events or the gifts that you may have, how can you make sure that they are sustainable? Those are the type of decisions that you want to make and start to focus on, so that you can show when we meet, we are literally changing the world because we are making an impact, a positive impact on our environment. We're making an impact on the community. Now with community, it's all about how can I bring in how can I bring the community in to our event somehow? We're bringing people in. How can we travel to an event and have it not necessarily be such a huge carbon footprint? How can we minimize that? Maybe we have it locally. Maybe we have it in an area where a lot of people don't have to travel far to get to. And then when we're there, how can we take care of the community in some way? A lot of people do this through some type of event, CSR event, where they're really helping the community out. Team buildings where that they can connect that to the community. That's really helpful too. Also, the people attending. How can we make an impact on the people attending? We have our attendees. typically you could say that you're traveling all the time. And if they're not traveling all the time, they possibly are traveling for your event, and your event is taking them away from whatever their world is. Now, some people might think that that's a welcomed change, but others may think that, hey, I have to leave my family. I have to make all these arrangements to get here. It was a stressor on my marriage maybe to get here. It was a stressor on my business because now I have to um, not answer emails for a certain time. So that matters. And so if there's a way that you can just make sure that you're putting them first, really tending to their well-being, uh, making sure that they get the maximum impact out of your event is really going to be helpful. So again, standing out in 2026 is meaning standing for something. So purpose isn't necessarily a trend, but it's an expectation now. People are obviously very purposeful about every single decision that they make, and you are helping them do that. Event is sustainable too. So again, if we're taking baby steps in this area, I would say take one step for sustainability, whether it's regarding your waste, whether it's regarding your sourcing, the energy or transportation. Pick an area. If you haven't done it before, pick one area that you can be sustainable, and make sure it's a measurable area in which you can then have a little bit of data so that that can help you build upon for the next event. And then communicate the why to the people that you work with so that they can see the value in why you're doing this. Many times, if we don't have that communication, our clients, our customers, the people that we do events for, they don't really see the connection there. They're just thinking you're worrying about something that you don't need to worry on, especially if they're not up to speed. So communicate that why. Help them see the value. Help them tie it back to purpose. Help them tie it back to that you want to do right by the events that you plan, and really partner as well with partners that align with your values, align with these values of being sustainable, being purposeful, being about the community. That's going to be helpful, and it's really going to help you stand out in 2026. All right. Number 6, we're going to keep moving on, is I mentioned it before, is wellness first planning. This is something that I feel like we are all um, looking to do, is do wellness first planning. I think that the event industry has done a heck of a great job with continuing to make wellness be first and pushing wellness, but there's still a lot more work to be done. And a lot of that work is taking what we're learning in these conferences and in the blogs and in the live streams about making sure that our attendees are taken care of and that we're taken care of, and actually doing it. It's actually doing it. Really, that's what it is. So the planner that actually does this in 2026 is going to stand out. It's going to stand out because we all need a little wellness first planning. So this just means incorporating well-being into your event experience, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, emotional. We would love to hit all of them into your event experience. So this can be items like having some stretch breaks, making sure you have reflective moments, maybe some unplugging zones in your event. But it also can be how your agenda is laid out, not packing the agenda, allowing them to go on a break and it's more than 10 minutes to check their email, perhaps give them a little bit more time to take a walk in, check their email, giving them space to be able to incorporate the things that they have to do, but then also be there for your event. That, if it works for the objective of your event, definitely those are some things that you want to do. So making wellness matter, providing the space, looking out for your attendees. Everyone seems to be overwhelmed. The attendees are overwhelmed. The planners are overwhelmed. They probably come into the event with good intentions. They want to be there. They want to show up. But there's things obviously piling up back home. So you want to make sure that that you provide that wellness, provide that space. Wellness is going to help them create harmony. So if you help them focus on that, it's going to be very helpful. Like I talked about those unplugged zones, maybe those quiet rooms, those are super helpful when you're in a really big event space or things are happening and it's just busy, busy, having a little space that they can go into, have a little bit of quiet time is going to be helpful. Again, find those different ways to build in that buffer time, or maybe have a soft start to your event is going to do nothing but just help them feel a little bit more at ease. Even just pausing for like a deep breath here and there is going to be very helpful. So breathing in and breathing out, having music at the event that's going to bring that energy to have it meet the level of the actual session, incorporating nature where you're having your event in some way, whether it's in the room, whether it's outside of the space, and then having lighting that's not going to make them feel like they're in a hospital perhaps, but it's going to be really helpful. Lots of soft lighting if you can. And then again, it's not just your attendees, it's yourself. So keeping yourself first, making sure that you protect your own boundaries. If you go back a couple of live streams, I talked about boundaries. And if you model wellness so that your clients also respect that, that's also going to help you to stand out. Usually, they always say what is caught is taught. So the things that you do when people aren't necessarily looking is what people catch. If you're responding to an email at 1 a.m., people catch that you respond to an email at 1 a.m. So they then may email you at 1 a.m. However, if you do have your boundaries, it helps people also to respect that, but then also see that as important too. So we are all here teaching each other. So again, wellness comes by doing. We have to do it for ourselves too, but then have that also spill out to our attendees and helping them ease the overwhelm, incorporate wellness, be there for them and mentally, physically, and emotionally at your event. All right, we're coming up to the last few. I want to know how you're doing. What do you think about wellness? And tell me if you're including that in your event somehow and how you're including that, because most people can get different ideas from you too. Okay, so next we have facilitated networking. That's another way we can stand out in 2026. A lot of this comes with immersion, it can come with like event design, but this is just structuring networking moments into your event so that events don't always feel awkward and forced. Many a times we're coming into an event, and if it isn't a company event where everybody knows each other, if you're a first time person, or if you're coming and you don't have a lot of people to connect with, it's going to feel a little awkward and it's going to feel a little forced. So finding those little micro connections where attendees can exchange an idea or exchange a story in like just a minute or two, that's going to be helpful. So find soft ways in order to do that within your event. A lot of events do it well. They offer some pre-connection before an event via an app. That usually can be helpful, or finding different segments within their event in order to have, let's say, these little smaller networking events that may happen around, let's say, a particular theme or area. That also can be very helpful. Even having a welcome party or some type of welcome networking event, it's going to be very helpful for you as well. So how do we do this? Well, they attend events for connection. So we want to make sure that we're providing that connection for them with really great networking design. So using prompts or hosted networking instead of a free-for-all like chat would be great. If you have people coming into a space, maybe have them meet people, but then have a prompt that they can use in order to meet everyone. Also, maybe hiring somebody to actually facilitate a hosted networking session would be great. And matching people to their shared goals and interests. So pre-surveying people, you have a good idea on what their goals and interests are, then perhaps do a couple of pre-events that would help them, that would be aligned to that. I see this happen when people try to incorporate wellness and possibly take care of this networking as well when they do fun runs at an event, or when they have some type of event centered around wellness, the people who care about that will come. And then there's a little light networking with those events. You can, combine both of these and have them all work for you too. Create those small, safe spaces for introverts. That's also a good one because usually introverts will come to them, like that quiet room. That sounds right up my alley. So usually you meet other people who value quietness, and that usually is a great match. So find these shared goals, shared interests, and design some of those experiences around that. And that's going to help your event stand out from the others. People definitely appreciate that. And usually when they're going back home and they're speaking about the event, those are the things that they bring up because they appreciated them so much. So definitely try to facilitate this networking and help it work for you. Okay, we have a couple more to go. So crisis management and adaptability, that is going to be number 8. And I put this here because it's very true. As I'm looking at the headlines all across the world, and I don't look at them often. I like to just turn off my phone a lot or minimize my notifications. But when I do kind of tap in real quick just to see what's happening in the world, I don't want to seem as though I don't know what's going on. It's very clear that crisis management is going to be something that we need to make sure that we are brushed up on. We all went through, most of you all probably have been here since 9/11. We went through 9/11. We also went through this pandemic. But even in amongst that, there has been so many other things that happen on events. Can't even imagine. Well, I can imagine. I've seen a lot of the headlines of different things that have gone wrong at events. And so you need to be really up to speed on crisis management because you never know when something will happen. And it's not necessarily, when something happens, it's if it happens, because it usually happens. It will happen at some point in time. You will have to respond to a crisis at your event. And because you have to do that, you would need to be adaptable. You need to have an emergency response plan that has contact information, that has all of the issues that could come up, knowing who to respond to those things. That would be helpful. Have a strategic plan for when things shift, like weather challenges at your event. And I could be just speaking to the choir at this, but we also need to make sure that we're prepared in a bigger way for certain things. I'm not trying to, scare anybody, but with all these talks about, oh, we're doing, nuclear preparedness plans, things like that happening in countries. Okay, well, what is the plan? What would be your plan in case of a fire, in case of a flood, in case of inclement weather, in case of some type of nuclear going on? We need to know what that plan is, and you need to be prepared for it for your event. So again, that will make you stand out. That will help you minimize a lot of liability, help you to be prepared, and it helps you to have that confidence when you're going into an event. Clients love confidence. They hire confidence. So when you can basically claim and tell people that you're able to adapt, that you're very prepared for crisis, that's going to be one of the fastest ways to stand out. People, companies definitely are keeping this in their forefront. They want to make sure that people that they meet safely. So we want to make sure that we are also providing that to them. So any way that you can be as prepared as possible, then that's what you want to do in order to stand out for some of these crises that might be on the horizon. And take a look at, make sure that we're looking at the news, make sure we're looking at some of the stability that's within different countries that we might plan events in, so that we know where things are and that we are able to respond if needed. So how would we do this? I would just say build those contingency plan. Definitely have an emergency response plan. Have just like I think they have like the situation room or something like that. Within the political office, maybe practice some kind of decision sprints with your team, meaning what would we do if this were to happen, and have everybody in the room and just really talk through certain emergency scenarios so you at least know how to respond so that everybody's not, you know, just trying to figure it out at the last minute. So those are some things, and those are some ways on how you can focus on it, communicate what the plans are quickly and lightly to people, especially if you are in a emergent situation at your event. You want to make sure that you are calming your clients. You're not necessarily overwhelming anyone. So we want to communicate quickly, lightly, have a plan, practice what those decisions would need to be made are, and be prepared most of all. So that's going to help you stand out. Okay, and so number 9 is accessibility and inclusive design, ensuring that everybody at your event has a great experience at your event, no matter how they look, how they are physically, how they are cognitively, culturally. So that's inclusive design. And so we need to make sure that we are doing certain things, offering captions in our videos, creating quiet zones for introverts, making sure we have wide path layouts for everybody, right? Reasonable for everybody, so that everybody's feeling comfortable and everybody's able to kind of maneuver. Having inclusive meal options, different varieties of meals, so that people can make their own empowered choice on what they're going to eat, making sure those meals have adequate meal placement cards so that people can see what's in it. And that's going to all just help people to make best choices for themselves, help them feel empowered, help them feel like they're choosing their own adventure. And that is very important. So inclusivity in 2026, it's professionalism. We usually, when we're hearing about something, it's because people they don't feel inclusive. There was something that necessarily was not there for them, in which they felt should have been. So it can be a huge differentiator when anybody that comes into your event can feel as though it was prepared for them. Again, most events, they still are overlooking this. So making sure that we're paying attention to that is going to be a huge differentiator. It certainly is. So I would just say, in terms of how we can focus on this, is to update your checklist with accessibility questions, perhaps making sure that you don't miss it. Where can you put it where you don't miss it for every program? You can also partner with consultants that can help you with this, accessibility pros that can help you. And then also just make sure that you communicate those options to your attendees so that they feel welcomed. Sometimes if we don't know the choices there, we miss it. So making sure attendees know that the choices are there, that it is designed with them in mind, is going to be very helpful to you as well, so that they know where to catch these things. And I want to know, how has your inclusive design been going? Have you been using it in your events? Is that something that you could do more? Go ahead and put that in chat or put that in the comment. All right, so finally, as we're wrapping up today, it's emotional story brand and brand experience. So that's the last thing, the last area that you can stand out in 2026. So crafting an emotional arc throughout the event. And this can be your visuals, your messaging, activities, music, making it all come together, having an opening event, and with attendee stories, and maybe just, instead of just slides, like creating this beautiful story with your event that connects to your brand, versus an event that people show up with. And that takes a lot of intentionality when it comes to creating this. A lot of event producers can help with this. Marketing experts can help with this if this is not your forte, but it really is helpful. People remember how you made them feel. They don't necessarily always remember all those slides, but they remember how you made them feel. Was it an exciting event? Do they feel inspired? Do they want to just go home and sell? Whatever it is. So your ability and your team's ability, in order to really create that emotion, that's going to be your signature. That's going to be your advantage moving forward. As we have so many other things like AI technologies that are going to come on, maybe have a lot of these copy paste things that are coming that you'll see, it's going to be really hard for us to be authentic. And I think I've said this many times through this live stream, is how are you going to be authentic? How are you going to be able to show up and be authentic and have your event feel authentic and not that it's, thrown together? Making sure that we do that through storytelling is going to be huge. It's going to be huge. So how you do this is just really build your events around a core message or core theme, and use these stories. People love to hear stories. So use these stories throughout the agenda, throughout your event, and create certain rituals or even signature. And I'm not saying rituals as in a really crazy, kind of woo-woo thing, but it's really creating these I would just say repetitive moments that you can use within the event that people can see, or signature moments that become your thing. You do something at the beginning of the event and that becomes what your brand does, your stamp. So create those type of moments within your events, and you'll see people come to expect those things, and your event will stand out for those things. So that is what I would say would be the last one, is really doing that emotional storytelling and creating that holistic brand experience that's going to be very helpful. And you partner obviously with your partners to be able to help bring this to fruition. So those are the 10 areas of focus, my friends, that I'm suggesting for 2026 that you focus on to help you to stand out. What did you think about these? Which one is one that you feel as though, hey, I want to work on that for my events? Maybe it's something you're saying, I've always wanted to, and now you get the opportunity to do that and to make an impact. These different areas, they're not just nice to know. I would say that clients' expectations, they're shifting faster than ever right now. They're trying to get ahead, trying to be innovative. Most of them are trying to deliver lots of results. So as they're looking to you as an event professional for guidance on a lot of these things. Don't wait for your clients and your customers to bring it up. You set the pace so that you can show them that here is where things are leading, so that you can lead them into a really amazing event. Standing out in 2026 is not going to be about doing more. Hopefully it's about streamlining, doing less, doing the right things, having more clarity, and then just being able to communicate the value of those choices to the people that need to hear them. So that's actually why I created my Client Savvy workshop, really taking people from chaos to collaboration. And this workshop is really going to help you to guide your clients through some of these trends, help you to set clear expectations, and really position yourself to be the strategic partner that they rely on. And this is going to be coming up here in December, and I will be putting a link in the description for you if you would like to join me in that workshop. So if you want to stand out, protect your energy, and lead with authenticity, then I think that this workshop is going to be your next step to really take the reins of it. And we're going to get more granular. It's a workshop, so we're definitely going to put in some of the work. So that would be in description. But overall, I hope that you enjoyed this. Me giving you 10 areas of focus to stand out in 2026 as an event professional. Again, drop in, say hi, put something in the comments to let me know what you thought of this. And we will then see you on the next video. Bye now.